Hello dear aspirants, welcome to Lukmaan IS. Now this is Geography Paper 2 brief analysis that we are going to provide you. I hope that you have gone through the brief analysis of paper 1 also that we have uploaded on our YouTube channel. Now the way I was telling in the earlier session that this year geography papers were quite comparatively easier than the earlier papers. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपको ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल चूज करने में अभी आसानी है और क्वेश्चंस जो है वो प्रेडिक्टेबल लाइंस पे है. बट अगर पेपर सेकंड की बात करते हैं तो द ओनली थिंग दैट वाज आई फाउंड इज लिटिल बिट चैलेंजिंग फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स वाज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन दैट इज मैपिंग पार्ट. Otherwise, most of the questions were, let's say, somehow related to PYQs. 2-3 questions were related to current contemporary developments that I will highlight here. But most of the questions were largely from the syllabus topics and they relate to your PYQs also. So that's why it was not that much difficult. Now, these 10 topics or mapping points, out of them, 3-4 were a little bit familiar. But if you see the Rushikulya river, yes, you know that Rushikulya river in Odisha, Rukri, olive ridley turtle, nesting sites, all these things you are aware about this. But what about Datar Hills in Gujarat and let's say Kikruma village from Nagaland? So for let's say small reasons, they may be in news, but it is very difficult. Bailalu, it is in Karnataka, ISRO center is there and it was in news because of certain reasons. So yes, they are asking very small. Sri Vijayapuram, yes, the name is changed in one of the island in Andaman and Nicobar Island. So you are aware about, let's say, few topics, but 3-4 topics they are completely new to you, and let's say they were in news. It is challenging to cover such small mapping points from, let's say, current affairs. So out of, let's say, this, as it was compulsory, so you may miss writing, let's say, information for 2-3 points here regarding mapping, but otherwise it was attemptable. Now let's talk about the theory questions. So compulsory questions, you can see that very standard, and even I will relate to PYQs, how they have been asked earlier also. Referring to the location and physical formation of Karevas, highlight their economic significance. Exact similar question has been asked from the resources perspective in 2011. Okay, Kareva deposits and its economic significance. Partly, let's say the question relates to physical setting because it is talking about formation of Karevas. It is, let's say, related to how Kareva deposits in, let's say, Kashmir Valley are formed. So we are aware about the deposits, Kareva deposits. They are, we can say that the lacustrine deposits deposited by the rivers that originated, we can say antecedent rivers also, when the Himalayan, let's say, parallel ranges were being formed, the flow of these rivers was obstructed and the sediments were deposited. Later on, these rivers cut through the parallel ranges and drained out. Now the lacustrine deposits are there. They are very helpful in terms of economic significance. You are aware about the unique variety of saffron, that is saffron found there. Along with that, apple and other, let's say, apricot, those cultivation of fruits, horticulture. So we'll discuss all the, let's say, questions later on in the discussion, detailed discussion of all these, let's say, papers, paper 1 as well as paper 2. Okay, but I will give you brief idea that yes, it was attemptable. It is PYQ 2011. Now look at this question. How does Himalayan ecosystem regulate the cropping pattern and agricultural activities in Himalayan region of India? Now many of these questions, they are, let's say, integrating or linking let's say syllabus topics within that chapter as well as, let's say, out of the other chapter also. Okay, so like for example, Himalayan ecosystem. So largely it is a physical setting, how it regulates the cropping pattern of, we can say that, Himalayan region of India. So yes, it is, let's say, we have to talk about the mountain region system, intermountain valleys, and we can say this one also, we can say Kareva, it is related to agriculture, we can say that, cropping pattern itself. Or we can say terrace farming is there, horticulture is there, and in Northeast India, what kind of, let's say, agriculture practices are there. So somehow Himalayan ecosystem, it is basically, we can say that altitude wise, the climate goes on changing, and the steep slopes, gentle slope aspect, that thing you have to relate here in terms of cropping pattern, and then you have to give certain examples also. Like you can talk about even, let's say, the tea plantations that are there in Duar formation as a part of Himalayas itself. All right, then so we can say that it was attemptable, largely applied question, so little bit of brainstorming is required. Then you can say that write critically argued essay on nautical tourism and its infrastructure in India. So nautical tourism, I am giving star mark here because the term has been new here. Now if you are not understanding this in English, you should read in Hindi. Samudri Paryatan. यानी कि यहाँ पर हम बोल रहे हैं कि मैरीटाइम टूरिज्म वी कैन से और द टूरिज्म दैट इज देयर इन द कोस्टल रीजन्स एज वेल एज इनसाइड द ओशन. So it includes the cruise also, it includes the deep water snorkeling, and we can say that the what you can say coral reefs and let's say snorkeling and all those activities, right? Scuba diving and all. Then its infrastructure it is saying, right? So all the let's say important locations in India along the coast, including Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep Islands. That aspect you should mention as it is 10 marker. So if you get this idea from the Hindi translation, you will be able to easily write answer. Now the 20 mark question, look at this. Explain the factors which contribute to growth of India's pharmaceutical industry. Very straightforward question, right? With specific reference to concentration in western region of India. Exact similar question has been asked, we can say 2015, 20 and 2023. Even the second part of the question, concentration in western region, so Mumbai, Ahmedabad, or we can say Pune, that region. So largely let's say petrochemical industries are located in that region, and somehow the raw material supply is there. Along with that, we can say that the educational industry is there, so skilled labor is also there, and the port location, export of pharmaceutical products. All these factors you should mention here, along with government policies, state government policies. Now, why are coral reefs in India most important with respect to its dynamic ecosystem? Explore. Now, this is 15 mark of question from, we can say that physical setting part, as it is asking about this coral reef systems. So, in India, 2-3 locations you should know: Andaman and Nicobar Island, and Lakshadweep is there, Gulf of Mannar, Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat. That region is having major coral reef systems. And let's say it is talking about its dynamic ecosystem. So basic characteristics you are aware about coral reefs, so you can go on writing them. And let's say the atolls in Lakshadweep, you can mention fringing and let's say barrier reefs that are there in Gulf of Mannar, and we can say that Andaman and Nicobar Island. So that let's say by giving certain examples, draw the map and show the distribution and all. Now 15 marker, agriculture. How the agriculture sector in India confront with the contemporary physical and politico-economic changes in the different regions of the country. The question itself gives structure, physical, political, economical changes that are happening in different regions of the country. How agriculture sector is, let's say, confronting with these changes that are happening. So somehow the context is related to Punjab, Haryana region. We can say the farmers protest or unrest that is going on. Then you can talk about the farmers and their, let's say, concerns in, we can say, dryland area or semi-arid regions of Maharashtra, or we can say that Karnataka, that region you can talk about. Then along with that, political aspect. So political aspect is related to government policies and all. We can talk about MSP related or the farm bills that were, let's say, brought by the government, and the changes that are happening in the political aspects that you can talk here. Thereafter, economic changes that are happening. So economic changes in terms of trade policy, you can talk about the food processing industries that are being promoted, and also we can say that the promotion of organic farming, organic products. So this way you should talk about how agriculture sector, and agriculture sector includes the allied activities also. So you should be let's say talking about the aquaculture, fishing, fisheries also, and then we can say poultry sector, animal rearing, and let's say dairy sector. All these things should be there. That makes our answer holistic and broader. Then we can say that so similar question was asked in, let's say, 2018, talking about the applied nature of question, right? Now this question you can see that why is the pattern of population distribution of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe different in India? Okay, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Let me tell you that UPSC has asked several times question on distribution of population of scheduled tribes and the problems associated with them. This is the syllabus topic, but for the first time they have asked scheduled caste and comparison with the scheduled tribe, compare their socio-economic problems also. So first of all, you can delineate the areas of, let's say, in terms of distribution of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and let's say largely the areas are different. You should know that scheduled caste population is more in states like Maharashtra, and then you should talk about scheduled tribes, Central India, Northeast, and Andaman and Nicobar Island. And then you can talk about the socio-economic problems, right? Socio-economic problems are a little bit different in terms of, we can say that social inequality that they face, economic inequality that they face. Largely the scheduled caste communities are living with the mainstream society, but the tribal people have not been mainstream. They have been living in isolation from the mainstream society, and they are facing different kinds of problems related to mining, environmental degradation, land acquisition. ये बताते चलना है, बहुत सारे problems है, right? But they are different. That's why it is like comparatively easier. First part is little bit difficult. You need specific information here in terms of distribution. So we can say that moderate to difficult. This is a challenging question comparatively. Highlight the characteristics of land utilization in Eastern Ghats. 2 years back in 2023 also similar question asked on Eastern Ghats, but not related to land utilization. It was largely related to resources, or we can say of the or formation of Eastern Ghats and all these things. Okay, so land utilization relates to, we can say, contemporary issues, recent threats to land utilization methods in the region. So somehow it is resulting in land degradation, deforestation, and we can say that a threat to the wildlife in that region. All these things you can mention here, land utilization. So we can also talk about, let's say, illegal red sanders smuggling that is going on in Andhra Pradesh. That aspect also you can mention. Land utilization involves different aspects. It involves industrialization, urbanization, agriculture, expansion, and along with that the different mining projects are there. And we can talk also about, let's say, the industries. So these aspects you should talk in land utilization, right? Now, a little bit we can say challenging, as let's say it is not directly related to PYQ. Then what are the challenges in dairy sector in India? Describe the contribution of bovine population. So many times it has been asked, let's say related to dairy sector, white revolution, or we can say that Operation Flood question has been asked on Operation Flood also. So you are well aware about the dairy sector, in which areas in India it is more, let's say, prominent, and we can talk about the challenges first here. The dairy sector is largely related to, we can say that, quality of bovine population, and along with that you can also talk about the challenges related to infrastructure, right? So infrastructure is problem, especially cold storage, transportation, and we can say the marketing challenges later on, right? Then there are threats related to the international, let's say, products coming into India. Nowadays it is in news, FTAs with US, Australia. So yes, those let's say products from these countries, they are comparatively cheaper in international market. If they flood Indian market, then Indian let's say dairy producers, or we can say farmers, may face major challenge here. So all these, let's say, have somehow context related to current development. Then socio-political landscape in India is a result of regional consciousness creating interstate disputes, political aspect. Okay, so this year we have found in this question paper that the questions from different chapters are not arranged in a sequence. The way we have seen in paper 1 of geography optional, it was arranged in a sequence. Largely we can say that in section A they kept first 5 chapters, in section B let's say next 5 chapters are kept. But here there is randomness in all 10 chapters asking question, and more weightage is given to the let's say topics like agriculture, contemporary issues, and less weightage is given to this, let's say, questions related to regional planning, regional development and planning, or we can say transportation and trade. Now, what I was telling is, next question here, it is related to, yes, socio-political landscape in India is a result of regional consciousness creating interstate disputes. So interstate disputes related to, it can be border dispute related to, we can say that a dispute related to river water sharing dispute is there, or dispute related to different kinds of let's say sharing, or we can say that a kind of challenges that we are facing because of regional consciousness. Like we can say that it is related to language row that is going on, Marathi language in Maharashtra, or Kannada language in Karnataka, Tamil language in Tamil Nadu. So regional consciousness is also, we can say, one of the factor. related to these interstate disputes. So you can go on, let's say, giving such examples. It is start talking about specific examples. Already there was PYQ on religious consciousness in 1999, and then we can say that on interstate disputes, especially border disputes in 2021. Why cottage industries in India are integral part of India's socio-economic structure? Cottage industry, generally they are in rural areas like coir industry, or we can say that artisans, or we can say that the tribal people. They are making different kinds of, let's say, artifacts from bamboo. So we can say that is cottage industry, right? Assess with reference to different types of cottage industry in India. So different types of cottage industry in India, like Kerala is having coir industry, most prominent, bamboo and its products in central India or eastern Indian states where bamboo by the tribal people especially, you can talk about that also. In different, let's say, areas, you can give examples and let's say write this question. It is comparatively easier one, we can say. Now, rural settlements in India are highly diversified due to both physical and cultural factors. Now, already UPSC has asked similar question in 2005, 12 and 18, but the different factor they have mentioned is cultural factor. Yes, rural settlements are also having some kind of cultural impact, especially the caste system in our India, in rural villages, we can say that. And therefore, we can see that in the settlements, especially the semi-clustered, or we can say that the scattered settlement that we see. So the location of, or let's say the settlements of lower caste community in rural villages in India, they are little bit outside, away from the central, we can say that part of village. And this is how they are affecting cultural factors, you can talk about. Then the physical factors, you are well aware about this. The hill slopes are there. Then we see hamleted kind of settlements. You can give examples of Western Himalayas, Northeast India and that thing. Then you can talk about the compact settlement in North Indian plains, or you can give that example, right? So this is how you can talk about with examples here. Now, the second section, you can see that the compulsory questions were quite attemptable, straightforward. Already UPSC has asked question on rural urban fringe so many times, and that's why it was easier one, and you should be able to relate to paper 1 also simultaneously the theoretical aspects of rural urban fringe and the concepts. Okay, so how it is delineated, or we can say can be delineated, explain examples from India. So in India, we can see there is, let's say, blurring boundary between urban and rural areas, where the urban areas ends and where the rural areas starts. So delineating a rural urban fringe is quite challenging, and we see that different kinds of economic activities are carried out in rural urban fringe, and the infrastructure plays important role in delineating this, especially road connectivity, metro connectivity and all. Then spatial distribution of religious groups in India does not show any specific pattern. Earlier in 2017, the question was asked that the religious minorities in India are located in the border states, illustrate. This was the question. So why, let's say, border states? You may have already prepared as it was PYQ. So we can talk about like Punjab. So Sikh population in Punjab, border state you can. Or Muslim population, Jammu and Kashmir, West Bengal. So again, border state. Or we can talk about, let's say, Christianity. So many northeastern states, they are, we can say, especially Nagaland, Manipur. So they are Christianity religion, and Kerala. So border state, we can say, maritime boundary is also border. That you can talk about. Then along with that, let's say the question here, it is talking about religious groups does not show any specific pattern, spatial distribution. So we have to illustrate. So illustrate with arguments. Here you have to take it positive. That means true. Yes, there is no particular spatial pattern. You can mention that, yes, the Muslim population is scattered throughout the country. You can give example of Hyderabad. Some kind of historical factors are also there. You can talk about, then you can talk about the Sikh population in Delhi also, along with, we can say that Punjab, and Christian population is there in Maharashtra also, and Tamil Nadu also. You can talk about, let's say, Christian population in Puducherry, and we can say having some French cultural linkages. So this is how you can argue here, Right, watershed is most appropriate spatial unit of planning. So many times they have asked question 2015, 2019 on watershed management and watershed as a planning unit, regional planning. So yes, that is true, especially for semi-arid region and arid region. Watershed is very important for rural areas and rural development, and we can say that particular planning. So you are aware about this directly. Those related to PYQ, they are very much, we can say that, attemptable question. Is Northeast India a geopolitical or geocultural region? Or they are asking, justify your answer. So somehow you can mention it is geopolitical also and geocultural also. Both side arguments will come. Geocultural aspect, you can see cultural diversity, and along with that cultural unity is also there in terms of, we can say, the languages and the racial group, the common racial group is there. We can say that Sino-Australian Australoids, or we can say that Chinese influence is there in terms of features, ethnic, we can say, features are there. Geopolitical unit, as a geopolitical unit, you can talk about Northeast India by through the government policies itself. We see that Northeast India is considered as one region, and its regional development we talk about. That's why this, let's say, geopolitical region aspect can be also considered. Most of these states are hilly states. Then you should be also able to mention some counter arguments. Why? Because there is, let's say, ethnic diversity, the conflicts that we see, and that's why geopolitical, there are some, let's say, counter arguments. Also geocultural region, so you can give that let's say opposite angle of, let's say, diversity in terms of cultural diversity and all. Okay, discuss the necessary condition for cultivation of fox nuts. So I am giving here star mark because it was in news. So Bihar is going to have the election, state assembly election, and recently when our Prime Minister visited Bihar, so he inaugurated several projects related to promotion of this fox nut. So if you are not able to understand in English fox nut meaning, you should read Hindi, मखाना की खेती. तो उससे तो आपको जरूर समझ में आएगा कि क्या किस चीज की बात कर रहा है. Right, so necessary conditions for cultivation they are talking here. So yes, marshy conditions are required. So water that should be available throughout year, and there should be, let's say, flooding conditions are suitable here. So describe the areas of its production. Largely it is in Bihar, eastern UP, Bihar we can say that largely, then West Bengal. So foxnut. So fine, 10 marker is there. Describe the causes of phenomenon of urban heat island. So contemporary issues, environmental pollution, and, let's say, challenges. Effective measures to deal with this phenomenon in India. First part is purely physical geography part. We have to explain the phenomenon of urban heat island, changes in land use pattern, we can say that, concretization, use of tar and glass in urban areas. So that's why the low albedo of the land surface, heat is trapped. That's why urban heat island. And the effective measures, you can talk about different kinds of, let's say, Griha, let's say, rating should be followed, and green spaces should be increased in urban areas. You can talk about, let's say, changes in terms of use of material, more eco-friendly material, and reducing the carbon and energy footprint of these processes in the urban area. With reference to, now let's say 20 marker, with reference to transport and communication network, critically discuss the Sagar Mala project. Critically discuss. So we have to, let's say, also know the limitations and the challenges, because this project has been implemented for a long time now. This was specifically asked in 2017 also, Sagar Mala project. Now it is talking about critically discuss. So that's why somehow the limitations and challenges also you should be writing here. What are the key features? As it is 20 mark question, sorry, 15 mark question, pardon me. So it requires a lot of, we can say that, other factors that you should be able to write here along with Sagarmala project and its features that were asked in 2017. This is 20 mark question. So you have to go in detail explaining this urban heat island and draw some diagrams also, and then measures also. You can give different kinds of subheading in terms of measures. So you can talk about, let's say, measures related to urban planning, related to, we can say that, the construction sector. Then you can talk about the planning related to community level, let's say, initiatives, private sector initiatives, all these things you can give subheading. What are the key features of sex ratio population in India? Very static standard question. It has been asked in 2014 and 16. Okay, and second part, child sex ratio impact on general sex ratio of the country. So very clear we can say if the child sex ratio is less, in future the overall sex ratio will also reduce, and if it is better then the overall sex ratio will be also better. Now there are variations in the country, regional variations, you go on elaborating those variations and show the impact. Then explain the factors that contribute to droughts in India with specific reference to food production, distribution, availability. So three factor. Question itself is giving structure. Can Indian agriculture policies resolve this issue? Question mark. So it is asking can. Yes, it can also, and there are some limitations. Both aspects should be covered here. Right? Okay. So droughts is a very standard static topic, we can say that, and largely you should be talking from agricultural drought perspective here, as it is talking about food production, distribution and availability aspect. Right? Then what are the causes and consequences of land degradation due to desertification in India? So causes and consequences of land degradation due to desertification. So desertification leading to land degradation, and then we have to explain the causes and consequences of this, we can say. So more or less you will be writing the desertification and its causes and we can say consequences from, let's say, on different aspect, largely agricultural sector we can talk about. Examine with reference to various regional issues. So you can talk about desertification regional issue in Rajasthan, Gujarat, and then let's say rain shadow effect, rain shadow areas of Western Ghats in Maharashtra, Karnataka, some parts of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so in this manner you should talk, and thereafter you can talk about desertification happening in Punjab and Haryana also, especially due to over irrigation. So green revolution area. Okay, and then we can talk about that Indira Gandhi channel command area in Ganganagar district, Rajasthan. So how the land degradation is happening, desertification is happening. Okay. Blue economy, yes, it is part of agriculture. So in past UPSC has asked question on aquaculture, but specifically initiatives related question was not there. So you can go on explaining, especially umbrella scheme is PM Sampada scheme, right, in blue economy, or we can say fisheries sector. And there are, within that there are several schemes related to incentives, subsidies, or even mega food park scheme is there. So food processing and all. The impact of this economy and country's development. In past UPSC has asked question on rural development. So country's development, you can talk about development of coastal areas. Thereafter you can talk about the exports of fish and fisheries. At present it was very much in news because of shrimps exports to USA. USA has increased the tariff on shrimp exports, so it is going to be impacted. India is the largest exporter of shrimps to USA, so that's why we can say it was in news. Now, I have given the star mark here because new term is used while defining green architecture. Discuss the principles and challenges in response to climate change in India. We will say that it is a contemporary issue, green architecture. So, also related to planning, urban planning aspect is also there, right? So, green architecture is very specific. It is related to, we can say that, how there is a proper ventilation in a particular building, or we can say that how the energy footprint of this building while construction, and after that it can be reduced. Use of technology like sensors, so that there is automatic switching on, switch off the light, and along with that the material that is used, more eco-friendly material and less energy intensive material, because cement industry is highly polluting, we can say, an energy consuming industry. So that's why green architecture is being promoted, or let's say focused. Also the earlier question of urban heat island, so that's why green architecture. Use that in that answer also, that question in this answer also. Okay, so yes, it can be attempted, we can say, but the term is new, so that's why the way you will think in the exam hall, it depends on that. With reference to typical example, assess why regional planning in India is important for island territories for their sustainable. So again, we can go on explaining island territories. You can divide island territories, so Andaman and Nicobar, and we can say that Lakshadweep Islands, and thereafter you can give the, let's say, focus on regional planning in India is important. Yes, you can talk about regional planning is important for both separately. We can say that largely both are of having different nature in terms of its formation as well as the economic activities, and the people living, they are completely different. And that's why it requires a kind of planning, regional planning separately. And the way the strategic importance of Andaman and Nicobar Islands is there, and the project that is going on in Great Nicobar, it is very much in news. That's why they ask question on island territories. With reference to international boundaries in India, discuss related issues and giving suitable examples. So international boundaries, largely the issues are related to, we can say, the boundaries are not delineated properly. There are border disputes with neighboring countries like Pakistan, China. We can say that that context is also there. Standard static question is there. 2014, 2018 PYQ on the similar lines question have been asked in past political aspect chapter. Now from all these questions, let's say questions, one thing that we get is they are asking dynamic questions, and this is a trend that they have followed continuously in paper 2 of geography optional. Comparatively, the new terms are, let's say, not that many questions are asked from the new terms or let's say new aspect. Most of the questions I have, let's say, related them to PYQs. So questions were attemptable by and large, except we can say mapping section, right? So that's why we can say that the overall difficulty level was easy to moderate, and the, let's say, students will be able to attempt all question paper except 2-3 mapping part. So we are going to come up with the PYQ analysis module. Soon we will launch, let's say, give you the details of that PYQ analysis plus answer writing program also. And along with that, we have year-long test series at Lukmaan IAS. Many of these questions that we ask in year-long test series, they have been asked directly in paper 1 as well as paper 2, I am telling. And that's why it is very helpful. Go through the plan that is available on website of Lukmaan IAS. You can visit the inquiry office and you can talk to me also directly, have the mentoring session, and I will give you the future strategy for how to improve your geography optional preparation and get that score of 280 plus. Fine, thank you.